And this podcast is presented to you by Kia, the official vehicle of the Orlando Magic. Dante Marchitelli, George Galante, and our guest Nik Vucevic in his 10th NBA season, his 9th in Orlando, and his 17th appearance on this here podcast. And we are fired up about that. Do you kind of feel like you're a co-host yourself on this show, Vooch?
Pretty much. I feel like I should get part ownership in this.
No, but
if you guys make any money off of it, I should get a little percentage.
Yeah, we don't. Well, but tell
we're going to keep that in mind.
Tell Dante all the back and forth though that has been to get you to be a guest. Like it's almost like I've been dealing with the prime minister trying to get you on.
Oh, really?
Like
good.
Vooch is trying to big time me a little bit about the pod squad, I think.
Well,
I have a very valid excuse. So when I'm at home, I try to like stay away from doing interviews and anything that would, require me to, be busy, especially when I'm go to practice in the morning. And then when I'm home in the afternoon, I try to spend time with my family. And at night is usually like time that my wife and I try to spend together. So, when I'm at home, I'm not as available. And so, but George has been very pushy about me getting on the podcast as if, we're going to air on, some national television or something. And if we miss our window, it's over. So I'm like, hey, George, it's a matter of days. Like, it's not that big a deal, but, he never texts me otherwise, like never like, how you doing? And he's just like, hey.
That's really true. No, that's a lie.
Oh, okay.
That's a lie.
It's strictly business. If he needs something, he comes to you.
Yeah.
I got you.
I'm a very take person. I just take and take and take. That's all I do is take.
Well, the thought is, if we're going to do a podcast and start a season, we got to do it with Vooch if he wants to do it. If he's up for it, you're the one we got to start with. And George, to his credit, he's playing better than anyone on the planet right now. If he didn't want to, if there was ever a time to big time us, it'd be right now. So I wouldn't blame you, Vooch. We appreciate you coming on.
I'm glad to be here. It's always a good time.
All right. Well, now listen. We're doing this a little late. It's about 12:15 at night because Vooch puts his kids. He wanted to put his kids to bed, which is odd. I agree. There is nothing like that because when we're home, we don't get a chance to do that on the road. So what is that? What is that process like for you, Vooch? What is your involvement in putting the kids to bed?
Wait, before you answer that, what was the process before having two children, and then now what's the process having two children?
Okay.
Like how has it changed for you?
So before we had two, sometimes I could get away with putting my son to bed, like Philip, the first one. Sometimes it would be my wife doing it. But since we had the second one, my wife puts the first one earlier. Like she puts him down around like 6:30. So during that time, I have to feed my older son and occupy him and all that. And then we put him to bed usually together. Like we'll take him, for his bath, whatever, read to him, and then he go to bed. But we started doing that while she was pregnant because she couldn't really carry him and stuff because he's pretty big. So I had to help up, and then he kind of he likes us being both there. And then especially with me being gone a lot now, the season started when I'm here, I try to take advantage as much as I can of it. But it's he's actually pretty good with his sleep. He kind of knows. We just 20 minutes before he has to go to bed, I take him for his bath, and then once he's done, I get him dressed and all that, read to him, and then he goes, put him in his crib, and he's out for the night, and he wakes up 12 hours later.
That is exactly how it works for nobody else, Vooch. I don't know.
12 hours? Are you kidding me?
How on earth does that all work?
12 hours.
Okay, 12 hours. Well, it wasn't like that until about he was 10 months old. It was he was like not good and he was okay, and then he was really, really bad. Like he would wake up every hour literally, and then one night just my wife lost it. She couldn't really do it anymore. And but you gotta also understand that he was like twice as heavy as any kid at like that age.
How big was he? How big was he when he was born?
I'm not sure then, but now he's like 40 pounds, and like most kids are not 40 pounds.
And he's how old? 2 years. Yeah. My 5-year-old is 40 pounds.
But he's not like like he's not overweight. Like he's not he's actually like he's just like really strong actually. Yeah, and like really strong legs like me. And it's like he is really as if you saw him walking, you'd know he's my son. Like you just saw him randomly, like without knowing he was my son. And he walks the exact same way I do. So so she just like lost it. She couldn't like do it anymore because she was getting no sleep. And it was like 2 a.m. We're both awake in this room right here, which is like kind of like our media room. And
Yep,
like
yep.
I'm on my computer, like just Googling like what to do, baby's not sleeping, what to do. And then I come across this like lady, she's like a sleep trainer for babies. And she's the only thing company or like person, whatever that I've seen online that has like 5 reviews with like 5-star reviews with like over 100, like usually it's like 4.87, whatever. Like she
Yeah.
was like straight 5, everything. And like I read the comments and it's like, she saved our life. She saved our marriage. We were miserable. We were this and that. And
Wow.
so like
Wow.
I contact her and I'm like, I explain to her the situation. She's like, okay, like I can help you guys. I've seen this all like many times. She sends us like a little thing like memo, what to do, what to change. Like she gives us a schedule and like when to feed in, when it's playtime, when it's like everything like very like strict. And she's like, if you guys follow this for like 5 days, on the 5th day, like we can start training him to fall asleep on his own. So she's like, so we do it, and then the 5th day, she comes, like she tells us like what to do exactly. So we put him in a crib, and of course, then there's like the method when you got to let him cry for X
Yep.
amount of
Yes.
time
Yep.
until
Right.
he falls asleep. So he cries for about 10 minutes. It was very hard 10 minutes because he was like
Sure.
screaming his mind out, and then like then I go in and I tell him like, hey, whatever, we're here, just gotta sleep. And then like he's like first it's 3 minutes, then 5, and so after no, yeah, something like that. And then after like the second time I went in, like 2 minutes later, out of the like biggest scream ever, he just like lays down like in his crib, falls asleep, and is out for the night. And we're, like my wife and I were just like, this isn't like possible. Like this never happened. He wakes up like he woke up like in the middle of the night once for like 2 minutes and then went right back to sleep. And then since then, I mean, it's just been like we put him in his crib awake. He plays with his like he has a little toy. He like not like a little teddy bear, whatever. He plays with that, falls asleep, and it's been like that ever since. I mean, he have like
Oh
Wow.
my.
times like he'll
Sure.
have times
Sure.
when he like he'll go through like phase when he doesn't want to sleep. He'll fight it, or he'll wake up if he has a dream or something, or like he, you know, there's different things. But I mean, it saved our life. I mean, I don't. And
Yeah.
then
Of
so we
course.
brought her for the little one because she said when they're if you train him from like day one, it's much easier. And so the baby has been sleeping 12 hours too.
That's
That's
crazy.
incredible.
That's
That is.
unbelievable.
Really,
You want to give her a plug and let? There's about 6 people that'll find out.
I mean, I've get like my friend, like one of my close friends, I gave them her contact.
Sure.
They use her a little bit. Some of the people I know, they've used her as well. And I mean, there's a lot of people that do that. A lot of like sleep therapists around like the
Sure.
country that do that
Sure.
for kids because it's like, I mean, it's a big thing. And I mean, she's helping, but mainly like him, like since he started sleeping like that on his own, like he's had so much more energy. He's been like such better moods.
Oh,
Like he's grown
sure.
better. He's like everything's been better.
Sure, your wife's
So
in a better mood too.
no, but
Yes.
yeah, for
Let's
sure. But all of it. But it's like just weird how like out of the biggest scream, out of the biggest
yeah.
like we thought he was going like he was going crazy or something. I just like
Yeah.
he just like screaming and out of 1 second later he's like just on his belly just out.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
That's
That's
impressive.
crazy.
What's the craziest call you got while you were on the road? I know you. Maybe they haven't. Maybe they're not old enough. But have you been called and gotten yelled at while you were on the road and the kids are misbehaving? Have you had one of
No, but
those calls yet?
I got called by my wife at 4 a.m. telling me he's not sleeping, and I'm like,
Yes.
And
I was in Atlanta, I remember, and I'm like, okay, but what am I supposed to do? Which is I don't know what to do, and I'm like, well, I don't
I know.
either. It's 4 a.m. I have no idea what's going on.
hey, you know what that is? That's your fatherhood card is what that is. You
Yeah,
officially
That's
have it now because
exactly
we've
right.
all gotten that call where it's
Yep.
like you said, it's 3 o'clock in the morning and your phone rings and you think somebody's dying.
okay.
And no, it's just like, well, the baby threw up or something like that. And I'm like,
Yes, you're right.
I'm in Detroit. Like,
Like I feel bad, but I'm like, fortunately, I did not have magic powers to send a signal to him to sleep. But I'm like,
But you
I don't
can't
know,
say
dude.
that. But you can't say
No.
that.
No,
You
no,
can't
no.
say that at that time. But
I
you're
mean, I
right.
think I just said something like, just I don't know, let him cry. He's gonna go back to sleep, and so he did it.
Yeah,
But I
you'll
think it's
figure
just,
it.
I think it's more because she's by herself, and like he's
Of
more
course,
like,
of
I
course.
want to make sure I don't like screw up, or I'm sure I want to know he's fine if I make the decision, and like you're not, if I make it on my own and something's wrong, then it's more like, so she knows that I was there, like, and we,
Of
although
course,
my
absolutely.
decision making
Yep.
at 4, not sure is that great, but
Not top of the line. Well, and if it was reversed, I don't think any of us could do it. If our wives were out playing basketball or calling games, I don't think us all
no
staying
chance.
home. I don't think just no chance.
Absolutely not. No, absolutely.
Absolutely,
I have so much more respect,
absolutely.
like for motherhood, and I just never knew how it was before. Now that I see like what it takes and the patience, they're just the patience they have
Oh yeah, sure.
compared to men, and it's like, to me, is like amazing. I mean, I think I'm pretty patient with my kid, and I can like handle a lot, but like things that take me off her is just like she laughs, and I'm like,
Yeah, no
I don't
big
know. I
deal.
but it's like, she's like super organized with them. Like, make sure like she's on schedule. I'm like, I'm organized with my life, but no way I can like I can get them done and myself. Like, no, that's never
That's a lot. Exactly. I know it's a lot.
happening.
Now we have a whole
Really, yeah,
we
it's
have a
different.
whole new respect, no question. Well, Rich, we got a lot to get to. We got fan questions that are coming in, and I think it's great. We appreciate the insight on that. But the big story today was the fact that you're not going to Boston. You're not playing a game due to COVID. So I just take us through your thought on everything, how strange this all is. I'm sure it still feels surreal, and now we have our first run in where we have a game postponed.
Well, I mean, I think all in the back of our minds, we all, thought that this could
Yeah.
happen at some point, that some games would be postponed, or that there might be, if there's like a spike in cases or something, if maybe like a state decides to shut down sports, something like that, you could expect that, there might be a little pause or something, or game postponed here and there. So it was not like we're like totally surprised, but
Sure.
it's not something you're used to. But to me, it was funny. I was driving to the hangar today. I was on my way, and I get a call from Chris Newton, our security guy, and he's like, "Hey, we're not going to Boston." And I'm like, "Okay, so I can go home." And he's like, "Yeah." And to me, actually, I mean, there was part of me, I was like, "Well, it's not as bad because we were just on the road, and I came back for a day, and then I go
Yeah.
again. I'm not like, it's just a lot for my kids and my wife, so at
Sure.
least I get to spend 2 more days with them. So that's the positive side. But and I think it's just the way it is. Everything's so unpredictable right now around the world because of COVID and everything going on. So hopefully, this doesn't last too long and things get back, to somewhat normal pretty quick, and we can, continue the season with no major issues. But it's just hard when one guy catches it, until they figure out if
Yeah.
other people have it or not. Because I mean, it does affect people's health. If it was just like something not as dangerous, it wouldn't be that. But it can affect people's health in many ways, and that's the biggest issue. So I think that we should all appreciate that the NBA is playing this on the safer side, and it's just like, oh, let's just play it, whatever. So I mean, it is what it is. We just have to, figure it out on the go, and hopefully, soon enough, it won't be it won't be an issue anymore. And well, I don't want to get into the vaccine thing because there are a lot of people that have different opinions, but
Sure.
hopefully,
Sure.
when those start happening for everybody, things will get better.
Now, be honest though, how close were you to the hangar? Because I was on the plane. I can tell you who was on the,
I mean, I was like a minute and a half away from the hangar.
because I was on the only people that were on the plane at the time were myself, Sid, Alacia, our therapist, and the two representatives from BioReference Labs were the only people on the plane
Playing.
when the
No,
phone
I
call
think
came in, and Joel said, "Well, your game is like the game's canceled. You can turn around and come home." And Sid and I were having a conversation 5 minutes before. He goes, "I think there's a chance this is about to get postponed." And I kind of looked up at the galley. I thought, well, I'm not that early. Like I thought maybe there'd be 3 or 4 guys on the plane, and there was, I mean, even Cliff wasn't on the plane.
what's happening now is because we can't eat on the plane anymore. Like usually guys would like cut
That's
there and like eat on
true.
a plane now. So
Right.
like what happens is like we eat in our cars before we get on the plane. So guys like don't get on the plane until like 5 minutes before or something
All right.
because of the rules.
Yeah.
But I'm just very happy that when they get to Boston and then we have to be stuck in
Oh,
our rooms
Can you
for like
imagine that?
48 hours, that would really be bad. Because now at least we're home, we could spend time with our families, and
Yeah.
we can like, you can still work out and do whatever you want, so it's at least that's the positive that we found out before, or we feel like we were in the middle of there and like, hey, you know what, guys, we're just turning around.
Yeah.
Turn around and come back.
We'll land back in Orlando in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you're
it
right.
did
They
work
just
out.
they just made it in. No, you're right. Well, Vooch, I want to ask you. This is probably the only basketball question we got for you because we want to get to some of these questions.
Do you have basketball? I don't have any basketball questions. I have no basketball questions.
The guy is red hot right now. He is in his zone, and it's awfully impressive. And I think fans would love to hear how that feels right now. What just kind of, you and I talked before the season, and you felt you had another gear you could get to, and you've done it. You've showed that you even in your 10th NBA season, you continue to grow your game.
Feels good. I mean, like I said earlier in the season, I really, felt really good coming into the year, physically, mentally, really motivated. And I was able to start off well. That always helps. And just, try to build on it. Unfortunately, we've had some injuries and things that kind of, lost the good thing that we had going on to start the season. But no, I mean, for me personally, I've just been feeling good. I just want to stay aggressive, and I really feel like what I did in the playoffs against Milwaukee has really helped me, take that next step. Really kind of helped me have even more self-belief, because it's I did it on a big stage. I did it in the playoffs against one of the best teams, and that always helps. Other than when you do it in a regular season, it's different. So just especially with the three and all that, and so I just want to continue with that. And I think also I'm more mature now, more experienced. All that helps, a lot. So when you add all those things, it's it's just it's helped me play at a high level, and I just want to continue.
Does it prove to you that like your prime is not necessarily age 24 or 25? I mean, like this is your 10th year, and you would have thought maybe in your head, my prime was my 7th year or my 8th, my 6th year. Like you're in your 10th year now.
Well, I definitely thought that, back then, like, oh, am I like, am I going through my prime? And I really, because I didn't feel like I was at my best then yet. And I feel like, am I missing, like, what am I missing that's, now making me play at a level I know I can? And I'm like, 25, 6, 7, whatever. And now when I look back, like, it's only 2-3 year difference, but I'm like such a better player. I mean, even like my all-star season compared to like, even last year, like, after I came back from injury and like a little bit, I'd say like from after All-Star break, once I really got back into 100%, I felt like I was playing much better than I did during my All-Star season. And I felt like and before I got hurt that week when I got Player Conference of the Week, I felt like I was playing at a really high level, and I really felt like I was going to take off and play even better. But then I got hurt. But it's just like every year there's so much that you can like learn and improve upon, and like right now I feel like I'm in my prime, but I still feel like there's more that I can do. But I mean, you just look back at a guy, like, I mean, obviously he's the best in the league and he might not be a good example to compare, but it's just like LeBron, he's been, everybody thought like, oh, when he was Cleveland, like this is it. And then he went to Miami and he was better, and he came back to Cleveland and he was even better. And then, and then now he's still great, he's playing differently, but he's still great and, still impact the game in many ways. So it just shows you that, it's not really the age. It's as long as you can stay healthy and you can, you make sure you work on your body and everything, you can always improve and impact the game in different ways.
Well, it's fun to watch, and we're happy for you, and we look forward to seeing it continue and where it goes from here. So keep up the good work. We got some good questions, Vooch, and first one is, if you don't mind, we'll run through some of these. Your favorite Friends episode? And I know you're a big Friends fan, right? There's so many good ones out there.
There's too many. Oh, the favorite one is, I got asked that question once before. I don't know if I can think of one specific one. Man, that's very. I mean, there's a lot of them. It's like,
or a scene. How about a scene? Maybe we could even do a scene. Maybe we could even
one scene that I do find hilarious. There's two of them. So I think it's in season 3. It's Joey and Chandler. They had like Xerox copying machine place, and like they're there because they're like this hot girl or whatever. Right. And so they're talking to her, and she's like, hey, like there's this party, like my friend is DJing. You guys want to come up? And they're like, sure, whatever. And then at the end, like she gives Chandler like a piece of paper, and he's like, rock on, or like just say something stupid like that rock on, and is like super, and like she looks at him like, okay, weirdo, and like just the like face he makes after that. I love Chandler, so to me that I just actually saw it a couple days ago, so that's why to me I remember that one. And then I like the
Rock 'em.
episode where they have the like when they bet, where like the Rachel and Monica are betting Chandler and Joey. If Chandler and Joey lose, they have to give up
The game show.
no, they have to give up
Oh, the
the
apartment.
duck and the chick, and then if the girls lose, they have to give up their apartment.
Right.
And so that's funny, like with the quiz and all that, the questions about them. That was a funny one, and then those two
That's
stick
great.
out. But I mean, honestly, to me, I mean, it's just
Vooch, what
I
about the
literally watch the show every day. Like it's just
That's great.
what
No, it
about the
is.
one? What about the one though, Vooch, when Joey is trying to speak French? I thought that might like
I
give you
didn't see. I thought that was a little that type of humor is like if he did
that.
it like once, it was okay. But like did like when like he like I'm like nobody's like that bad. Like so it's a little much. But that's so at times to me like the like they make Joey look like really like
Right.
stupid at times, and to me it's
Yeah.
like that's when sometimes it's funny, but it's like a little much. But overall, I mean, like my wife like she's like she just doesn't understand why. Like how can I watch
Why,
it like all
why
the
are you
time?
watching
Like
Does she
this?
not like?
I
Does
mean,
she not like the
no,
show?
she
Or
does like, but she just doesn't understand that I can watch it all the time. Like I
so
swear,
can I.
whenever I see it on TV, I can watch it. And if it's like episodes that I've seen like over, I mean, I've seen
Sure.
them over and over. I can still watch it, and like I feel like I always catch something different. Like when I watch it, like it's just funny, and like even like as they go on, it doesn't like get worse. It's still good because there's new stories, new stuff they add. So it's funny. Oh, and by the way, so I did tweet about that question. If we're down a break, Rachel and Ross,
Yeah.
Yes,
and
yes.
you know, I have to change my answer.
Again,
You
you're
know,
changing your answer?
well, no, yeah,
Wow.
no. Before I was kind of, you know, in the middle. You know, it was kind of like, you know, but I have to side with Ross because
Because
they
you're a
were.
guy.
She
Because
did
you're a
definitely
guy.
stay on the. No, well, no.
Just kidding. I'm
Well,
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I kind of.
no, but so she did say to take a break. So the guy was like, you know, was hurting whatever, and then he calls her, and like he hears Mark, like the guy
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
initiated all the trouble, and it's like, you know, he's just hurt, he's just done, and so he's drunk, whatever. You know, that girl comes, and you know, he doesn't know what he's doing. She should have, you know, she should have forgave him. Sorry, you know. I'm not saying he what he did was not, you know, was not wrong. It was, but she should have forgiven because of, you know, everything that
Because
happened
it was a
between
Because of
them.
how
mess. It
that
was a
Yeah,
mess.
so
because of how
yeah,
that came across. Exactly right. He
yeah.
jumped to
So she
conclusions without
exactly.
asking her.
So
Yeah, I hear you.
so I
That's a good
think that
breakdown.
too.
That
And
is
then
a
like
good
later
breakdown.
on, she keeps like trying to get back with him, but like
Right.
wants him to take blame when, you know. So I have to side with my guy Ross on that one.
I
Yeah.
like that.
I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement. I'm with you on that one. Okay. So everybody also knows you're a Star Wars fanatic. They want to know what is your favorite movie out of all of them. Out of all the movies out
Other
there, which
movies.
one's your favorite?
So I was a big fan of Revenge of the Sith. So it's episode 3, which is the sixth one that came out overall. I know like the like people are not a big fan of like the production, acting, and all that, but I felt like that story was that movie had like a great story because that's when you see how Anakin turns finally to the dark side. You see Order 66. You know, you see everything that led to the, you know, fall of the Jedi and the Sith taking over. So that one I liked a lot because the story is huge, the part of the story. And then the other one that I like, I mean, Return of Jedi, of course. Uh, Empire Strikes Back was a good one too. Actually, I like that one because, you know, when Luke finds out that, you know, Darth Vader is his father and all that. That's pretty, you know, big part of it too. And I was a huge fan of Rogue One. I thought, you know, the story before, you know, the main stories, that was very well done, great movie. And then you have the, you know, the scene with Vader at the end,
Do
which
you
which
like
is
all do you
really
like all of these things that are kind of like offshoots of the
most of them,
trilogy? I
yeah,
mean,
most
yeah,
of
do
them,
you
yeah,
watch The
because
Mandalorian? Like, are
of
you I'm
course, yeah.
assuming, yeah, and what do you think
Yeah,
about
I'll
that?
get that. I'll get into that in a second. I just want to finish because
Oh,
Vader,
okay.
like we never see him like at his full power in like the original movies. Like we see a little bit here and there, but not really. And like that one, we really saw him at his like best. You know, just
Yeah, it's a
dominating.
good point.
That was great for me to see. But I actually do like the out stuff like that are like like the Mandalorian, especially because you see so much of that Star Wars world that exists out there that we don't really see in the movies. And then you see that, different planets, different, people, like everything that's going on kind of, let's call it behind the scene that we don't know about, behind the main story. So it was just great to see all that and learn about the Mandalorians. And then I know you guys see it because I don't want to spoil it.
No, I haven't. I haven't seen it. I want to. I've got to. I do want to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I've
I
seen
don't
it.
want to spoil it then. But there's like so many things that, like, if you're a real fan and you like really appreciate all the Star Wars stuff and like you really get into that world, like they just throw you things here and there that just like wow you.
Okay.
So yeah, I thought the Mandalorian was amazing. It was greatly done, and especially the ending was just like
Yeah, the ending was crazy. My
Yeah.
my son, he predicted that was going to happen. I think he
Happened?
saw a spoiler
He
somewhere,
probably did,
but
yeah.
but I also like there's things there. I mean, you probably know it more than I do. Like I'm more of the three original movies guy, because I'm older. And my sons, I watched The Mandalorian with my sons, and they both knew, like, there's a character that comes out. She's a Jedi. You know her name. I don't know her
I don't
name.
want to say it because then it'll ruin it for Dante.
Okay,
So
but like,
Okay,
and I
gotcha,
said, well,
gotcha.
where, where is this one from? And he's, my oldest son is telling me, well, he's from, that's from the Clone Wars, or not, the cartoon or whatever. And I, those are things that I don't watch, but there's
Yeah.
everything is
Okay.
now like so tied together.
Clone Wars, Clone Wars is great, and actually, there's a lot in it that actually helps you understand even more the whole story and everything.
Right.
But it's like 6, 7, I think it's like 6 seasons, and there's a lot of episodes.
Do you
So
watch that? Have you
like,
watched all of
well,
those
I
too?
watched. I
Or?
think I'm midway through season 3. So I haven't like I was watching it for a while, and then I kind of stopped, and then I'm gonna continue to watch it. But there's a lot of stuff there. It's kind of because you see that's between like episode 2 and 3. So there's like before the clone before Order 60 and everything happened. So it's pretty good. You see a lot of things, and they actually cover a lot of stuff. Then there's Rebels also, which Disney did, but it's a little too cartoonish for me. I didn't watch that as much. But there's also a nice episode in that one where Ahsoka and Vader face off, which she was Anakin's Padawan. So that was pretty.
See, Dante, I
Nice,
didn't know
but
who that
just
was. I
it was
had
just
no
too
clue who that
cartoonish. I
was.
couldn't see that. Yeah. So I mean, but
Yeah, I'm
they're
gonna.
like books. They're like then they're comics. Like I have a bunch of Vader comics, so you can see. So there's so many stuff that you can read into, but I mean, there's just you gotta.
It's unbelievable what's become of that, because you're right, George. Growing up, it was just 3 movies, and now it's all this stuff coming up. Did your wife really call Yoda a frog? Did that really happen?
Yes,
Wait,
unfortunately.
what?
It did.
Wait, what? I've not heard this.
Oh, it's so
that.
good.
No.
Oh, yeah.
It's so.
So sorry, let me just put my computer on.
That's okay.
So yeah, so I bought like for my son a bunch of like Star Wars stuff for like his crib, things like that. So he has this like crib sheet, which is like a Star Wars, and there's like R2D2 on it, is C3PO, Yoda's on it. They have a what does it have? Millennium Falcon's on it, and I think that's it. And then so like Yoda's on it. So I was actually teaching him like, hey, like show me Yoda, and like he knows, and he'd be like Yoda, and like he'll point. And so I was like the proudest dad ever when he did that.
Yeah,
And then,
of course.
so my wife, she wanted to do it, and she couldn't remember what he was called. So she was like, "Where's the frog?" And so I'm like, I looked at her like, I think I had like a dead stare or something. I'm like, wait, hold up, wait, what? Like, you did not just say that. Like it's Yoda. Like if anybody else, I'm like whatever. But like it's Yoda. You don't. The frog.
Right.
I'm like,
The
So
frog.
I'm like,
Wow.
hold up. Let's just like he's not a frog, first of all, and his name is Yoda. Please remember that. So she never did it again. That was the only time. But I had a very serious talk about it.
That was great.
It's Yoda. He's the guy, and you just can't. Like it was very. But he did not show it because he didn't show like Yoda as the frog. So that was good.
Good. Okay, so he didn't put that together.
No, he didn't. No.
Did she call you an enormous nerd when you were having this discussion with her? Like, did she just?
No, she doesn't. Like that's even
like,
worse
whatever.
to her than Friends. She's like, why are you watching people fighting in space? And I'm like, you understand.
It is. If you try to explain it to someone who's never seen it, it is a tough.
Dante,
Now,
my son,
will you make your sons wait till they're 10 like George did? Like when will you let them watch it?
When he's old enough to actually like get into it. But I think what I'm gonna do is first I'm gonna show him like the best scenes on YouTube, so he can like, falls for it for the good stuff. but it's probably gonna be at least when he's 8, 10, something like that. Because if he doesn't understand it, he won't like it. So that's what I think. To me, like, I mean, to me, like, just Star Wars to me is just because there's so much into it. It's not just like the movie. Like, it's just so much into that story,
Yeah.
so much into like, behind all that you can like your imagination can go crazy. So that's why I enjoy it so much.
Now, how will you introduce it to them? Will you show it to them like it was released in the theaters, or would you? Because when I did it with my kids, and my daughter, she didn't really care, so she didn't
Sure,
really
sure.
care to watch it. But the boys, when we watched it, we went just like I did. Well, we're going to watch 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to go back. But I think that confused them when we were doing it that way.
But you
They
got
didn't
the
really know
luxury now.
exactly.
That's
You
I
got-
don't know. I have to.
You have to
I
think
don't
about
know.
that.
It's something I'll have to plan very well to make sure. But like I have some like lightsaber toys, like it's I bought at Disney. Like when you actually like turn it on, like turns on his lightsaber and all that, and he plays around with it. Like it's interesting because it makes noises. But that's a good sign. But like I have some
I
like
love
Darth Vader stuff like he likes. So that's a good sign. But I think like I'll have to work him in slowly.
Yeah,
Kind
sure.
of, make sure like maybe have him like initiate that he wants to watch it, or like maybe have me watch it randomly, and he probably want to join me and watch. And if I force it, it won't work. I have to be very,
See,
very,
that's
very.
great.
But the
You
good
got to
thing is
be.
I do have two, two sons, so hopefully one of them will like it, and then so.
And you just
They'll
ignore
like
the
it.
other
They'll
one.
like it.
Yeah,
Then
the other
you
one
just ignore the
will
other.
try to
Just
just be
ignore
like,
the.
well, I don't want to be like left aside, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, you'll have to join in. Absolutely. You kind of guilt them into it. Sure. This question here, Vooch, I don't like this question. I think it's ridiculous. And I know you get hit with a ton of ridiculous questions, especially this or that, or your favorite this or that. But I'm just curious, and I kind of want to know the answer. What's your favorite animal?
Animal?
Animal. I'm just curious what your favorite animal would be.
Animal?
Yeah.
So I want to say, well, I mean, lions because
Yeah.
I'm just so impressed with their look, their dominance, just how they are. I mean, it's such a beautiful animal to
Mm-hmm.
me, and it drives me crazy when I see people post pictures of them shooting an animal, and it's like
Oh,
that's a whole other thing. But yeah, to me, and actually, I got a chance to when we went to South Africa for the Basketball Without Borders, and we went to like a closed off safari or something. And so they had lions there, and they actually had lion cubs, and I was one of the first ones in there. So like they took me to play one of the cubs, and it
oh,
was like one of
wow.
the greatest feelings to me ever. Like I was just holding a little lion cub. I mean, he wasn't little, like he was, and like I
Sure.
was like playing with him and whatever, and then all of a sudden he like starting like trying to bite my hand for playing. So I moved my hand, and the guy's like, "No, he won't bite." I'm like, you know what? I mean, he
Yeah,
might
just
not bite, but I mean, he still has pretty sharp teeth. But yeah, that to me, I love lions. Like just seeing them. I mean, it's just a beautiful animal. And then
well,
I
that's
mean,
good.
I love dogs. Great animals. I mean, that's most people, I think. But and also, I'm a huge. I also love the the eagle, like the bird eagle.
Oh,
So they're
yeah,
different
sure.
kinds. So I don't. I think the one I like, is called the royal eagle.
Okay.
I seen it when I was little in Belgium at a zoo or something, and it was just like it was just so impressed, how beautiful it is. So those two probably.
You know what I think the answer would never be to that is a cat. I think no one would ever answer that because other than a lion, I can see that. We got a cat for our girls for Christmas.
Oh, I did not know
And
this.
But
yeah,
to me,
yeah,
like
we got a
there
new
are like
addition.
there are things that people say that like cats are like take negative energy from you, and like they're
Oh,
good to
do they?
have around a house. That's what they
Okay.
say. But they're like they don't do anything.
They don't do anything.
They won't let you play with, like you can't touch them. Like they just lay around and sleep. Like there's just nothing you can do with it. So I don't
I
understand the
know.
point of having one.
I'm with you. And think about this. Think about all the people you know that have them. No one has gone out and got one. You end up with those. You go out and get
That's
a
true.
puppy. You
Yeah.
end up with a
How'd
cat.
you end up with yours, Dante?
Someone found one and thought we should take it. That's how
Well, the
it
good thing
goes.
it's not much maintenance, so it's just like
That's
there,
true.
but it's whatever.
I do like that,
Okay.
and our
But
girls love it. Our girls love it, so
there are
that's
some
great.
night like I do remember when I was little, one lady, a friend of ours, we used to go, and she had I forgot what the breed they were exactly, but do you say breed for a cat too?
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like beautiful, like long hair. One was white, one was gray, and they were like beautiful looking cats. And but also, I mean, actually, they would like always like sit in someone's lap. Like if you, that was kind of annoying because like they were shed. So like if you sat on her house, they would just be come there and like just sit there for like 30 minutes. So I thought,
Absolutely.
but they were like beautiful cats, especially the gray one
Sure.
was amazing. Like I said, like this gray charcoal color, shiny. It was nice. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't dislike them, but I don't really,
Did that
I
woman
don't
have
see the point of having them.
did that woman have like 38 of those cats laying around?
No, she
Like,
only had two, those two.
just the two. Because
That's right. I don't dislike them. I love them at other people's houses, but I
But do you
think
have a
that's
dog too, Dante?
no, I don't. I don't. We were looking at dogs. We wanted to get a dog. We couldn't find the right one. We wanted to get a rescue. That was kind of the
So,
idea.
and you ended up
Ended
getting a
up,
cat.
it was a complete 180 that I've still not recovered from.
Oh, well, you're gonna lose that.
What dog do you have, George?
I have a golden retriever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's great.
Okay,
She's
very
great. But
nice,
she's
yeah.
she's in her crate right now because she was barking up a storm.
Do you have one? Do you have? And it's actually, I should say that it is it is very well behaved. It eats everything we own and eats all our plants and everything. But it's good. But Vooch, do you have a dog? You have a dog though, don't you?
I don't know. I wish.
Oh, you
I
don't?
love
Okay.
dogs. I always had one when I was little, and since with our schedule, traveling so much, and especially the main thing for us was when we go home. Like I always felt bad having to put
Oh,
my
right.
dog in a crate and fly
Sure.
under the plane because you hear all these stories, and I'm sure it's a little better now, but I don't know if the guy who was supposed to take care of my dog is in a bad mood that day, and he doesn't take him out of his crate, or he
Sure.
doesn't feed him, whatever. So God forbid if something was to happen to him, because it's like if I had like a straight flight from here to home and it's like I don't know 8-9 hours, I'm like I can do that. But it's like I have to lay over for a couple hours, and in the summer it's like, especially from Orlando, with storms and everything, there's always delays, and it'd be a mess. And the like service animal thing, I don't really want to do a fraud thing where I'm like, hey, I need a service animal. Meanwhile, I'm all good. So
You can do that. You can do that.
but
Yep.
it could, but I just never did that. So I don't know. So yeah, that's the main reason. But we do wish we had one now, especially because my older son, he loves dogs. Whenever he sees one, he wants to pet them.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
Absolutely.
eventually we'll get one once we get close. Once we get closer to retirement and we know kind of what we're gonna do and stuff. I'm sure we'll get one because I'm like my favorite dog is a Rhodesian Ridgeback. I love that dog.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Big dog.
So,
Good.
yeah,
All right. What you got?
No, I'm not getting no dog that's as big as this body.
No, you can't do that.
can't
Any
do
dog
that.
you
You
can
can't.
fit in a bag is a no.
You can just
No.
carry it around. Carry it around. All right. George has got one more for you. He's got one more for you.
Okay. This ties into a segment we're going to try to do with all of our guests. Now it's a new segment. It's called Grinds My Gears, Vooch. It's called Grinds My Gears. We want to know what gets under your skin, what grinds your gears. We've talked about traffic and people that are on the road. Sometimes I know that gets you, but like what really man, that really grinds my gears. What's something for you? Like get it off your chest. This is your chance to.
That's right.
We're serving as
I'm trying to
therapists
think about
now.
it right now.
And if you need a second, we can let go with ours if that helps you. Kind of give you an idea. But I'm sure
You
something.
guys can
will,
go ahead. It'll make me think.
Go.
of
You go
something.
first,
I'm trying to
Dante.
think of it.
What's grinds your
when
gears?
honestly, it's the worst thing in the world, and I think these are some of the worst people in the world. When someone eats while they're on the phone talking to you. Somebody,
That's a good one.
right? When you're talking on the phone and they can't stop for 2 seconds, stop
That's a
eating,
good one.
right? Like chopping on carrots or something, whatever it may be.
Well, we can one up that now because everybody's been on Zoom for the last 8-9 months, right?
Oh yeah.
What about
that's
when
way
people
worse.
we're in a meeting
That's true.
and somebody will just pull out a yogurt and just start going to town on a yogurt? What about
or
that?
like snack bar,
Unacceptable.
like the noise of that. Until you open the bar, like the screen. That's the one.
That's a pretty good one.
That's
I mean,
annoying.
That
That's
gets
annoying.
on my nerves. That's pretty,
annoying.
Plus, it's gross. It's just
Like
disgusting.
if I call you and you're in the middle of lunch, I'll cut you a little slack. But if you call me with food in your mouth, it drives me nuts. I don't think there's anything worse.
I'm trying
That's
to
me.
think something that really. I don't know if it's like one specific thing, but I think it's too broad if I just say like people that just have no. Well, actually, like people that have no like like respectful other people's time, other people like,
Oh yeah.
like,
Yeah.
or like other people like space, or like things like people that just, are like, I don't know if it's like self-centered, but like, for example, like if I'm on a plane and like I'm like, it's like a regular flight, and like the person in front of me just like smashes into my legs reclining. It's like, I mean, I know I'm tall, but like most people don't really have much leg
Yes.
room anyways. Like, do you
Right.
not like, and it's not like, it's just like they go like super fast. Like,
Mhm.
and it's like, can you like turn and check and ask, like, what if I had food, or like, what if I, like, what if I could like something to me,
Yes.
do you live by yourself on this planet? Like, what are you doing? Like, so things like things like that, where people just don't think about others around them. Like, if I agree with somebody, like, hey, let's meet at that time, and like he shows
Yeah.
up 2 minutes later, like, and just like nothing, that drives me crazy. Like,
That's a
No,
good
that's
one.
good. Those
That's
are
a
good
good one.
ones.
Yeah.
Those are good ones. I mean, if you're on a plane, if the plane's less than 3 hours flight, you shouldn't put your seat back anyway. But some
but I mean,
people
to
will.
me,
Some
I
people
think
will
like turn
slam
and
them back.
ask person, yeah,
Yes.
but there's just
Yeah.
slamming back.
Sure.
And then when you tell them, and like, I have the right to do that, and I'm like, okay, but do you see that I'm like 7 foot and I can barely like, just like, I don't know, like, just be a human being, like, don't be a.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of problem with that these days.
Well,
Like,
no,
just
I'm
be
sure there's a
human
lot
being.
of problems with
Yeah,
to
there
me, it's
is.
just like those things like that just drive me crazy. It was like if you're waiting in line and somebody just cuts in front of you, like, as if
Oh yeah.
nothing happened. Is like those things like really drive. But I'm trying to think like of one thing.
Is it
I
when
can ask my
somebody
wife.
asks you to do a
My wife
podcast
would
like 12
probably know.
times?
Give me
Oh,
some. Maybe she'll know. Ženo, šta mene
this is good. We're
izludi?
gonna get some. This is the real scoop right here.
Nešto se dešava što mene potpuno izludi.
Oh, he's cursing.
Yeah.
Što neko drugi uradi, ja izludim.
Yeah. These guys won't leave me alone.
She says when people are late, that does drive me crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good. See, you guys are in tune. She knows what you don't like.
Well, she used to be that, and then
Oh, is that right?
so,
Well, there you
well,
go.
she was never, not really late, but it was, well, actually, yeah, when we were dating before, and like I'd be like, hey, I'm picking you up at 8, and it'd be like 8:30, and I'd be in my car, like,
Yep.
Oh, right.
great. But
30
or
minutes. That's
like,
a good amount of time.
we would have to like fly out, whatever. Let's say our flight is at 9 in the morning, and I'm like, okay, let's wake up at 6. Make sure we have enough time to do everything, whatever. She's like, no, I'm waking up at 6:17. I need my 15 more minutes of sleep, and I'm like, what difference does it make? 15 minutes, like. And then like she wakes up and it's like panic mode, and then we get there on time. And I'm like, you could have literally like given us 15 more minutes and do everything calmly, whatever. But yeah.
No, I know it. I know it. That's good stuff. That's good insight. George, how about you? Do you have one?
No,
Certainly.
that's a very good one when people just don't respect
Yeah.
your time. I think that
Yeah.
have just some
Well, there's no
self-respect for
respect
another person.
for other people. That really drives me nuts, because I always try to be mindful of others, whatever I'm doing. And I'm sure I've done stuff for it, but it's just like in certain situations, to me, it's just like mind blowing that people can do it, and like I just can't. But I think that the driving part also is like very like it's close to
Oh
the
yeah.
top of my list. Like some of the stuff that people like today, while I was driving, and
Yep.
like I was in my lane, and the guy like literally went from like all the way left and was going, and I see him, and like he's not stopping, and like of course, like I'm like pressing the horn, and he turns, and like he doesn't even react, and I go and I look, and he's like just on his phone like this.
Oh
Like I
my
literally like
word.
wanted to stop in front of
Wow.
him and like ask him, like, well, I on a freeway, so I couldn't do that, but like I literally want to pull aside and be like why? Like, what are you doing? Like, are
What are
you
you
not like
thinking here?
aware of like there's 100 cars around you? Like that if you hit me, I hit somebody else, is like 20 car accident just right there on I-4, and it's like,
Oh my word. Have you ever driven around someone that stopped at a toll booth? They realize they're supposed to be on the other side to pay the toll.
no,
They're going underneath. They have signs everywhere. Do not stop. Do not slow down. They realize, and they just stop. They freeze. It's unbelievable. It's amazing. You can really see some good stuff on these roads.
I think it's amazing that every time we've talked to Vooch, he has an issue with the track. Like it's every time we talk to Vooch,
yeah,
it's like
well,
I was driving
I'd say
today.
like two to three times a week. Like there are times where I like literally almost lose it when I'm driving. It's just like, especially with I-4 and everything going on, but it's just like,
Yeah, true.
I mean, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, tour is great. You guys are coming to Orlando and helping our economy and all that, but like, learn how to drive. Or like, I don't know.
It's just, well, but it's not. But it's the rules are different here. It's not different here than whatever state.
I mean, it is, but it's. I mean, I've driven all over the world, and I've never like. I swear, I've never like.
That's true.
I mean,
That's
I've rented
true.
like. I mean, if we were like with my wife and I, we go on vacation, we like to like explore and do stuff. So I always rent a car, and like, I've never like literally never like. I mean, I guess I'm like I'm like over the top mindful of everybody else, so I'm like trying to like plan in advance.
Yes.
Like if I miss it, like for example, if I miss an exit, I'm not gonna slam on my brakes and like go over the like like that when in the between the exit that had like that
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of triangle looking with
Yeah.
lines. I'm not gonna go over that and like stop everybody else because I just feel like it. Like I'm gonna miss it and I'm gonna make a U-turn later or whatever.
Okay,
Exactly
but what is
right.
that? That goes back to your other pet peeve. It's just no
I
awareness
know,
of other
that's what I'm saying.
people,
So people
right?
do that. It's just like so. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like
I
Dante,
remember-
I feel like I know he's not going to agree to it, but I feel like a segment of the podcast should be Vucevic's traffic report. Every
I like that.
time we have a podcast, we should
I
have
think-
5 minutes of Vucevic's traffic report, and I want
I
to know
think
what's
it's
going on the
great.
highway
Yes.
out there.
Yes, that's
Look what you
good.
could do. We could easily we could record like 8 of those. I wouldn't even have to bother you. You'd have a regular segment on the show. We could get it sponsored by the FDOT. We're all,
You gotta
it's
put
all
it-
over that.
You got to put a dash cam on there because I want to see some of these.
Yeah.
I want to see some of these. I
That'd be
remember
pretty-
I remember walking into a restaurant.
restaurant.
Remember walking into a restaurant with David Steele and someone let the door shut right in front of him. Saw him coming and the whole thing. And I remember asking him, I said, well, like, what goes through someone's mind to not look behind you and see if someone could be there? And he looked right at me and he said, you have to care about human beings to do something like that. I never forgot that. I think that's exactly right. You have to actually care.
David still seems like a guy who just wouldn't allow something like that to get him upset. Like he seems like a
No.
very relaxed guy, and
I don't think I've ever seen David too upset.
Absolutely.
which is smart. It's smart. No, I don't.
It's a better way to live life
But
than
it's
the way
funny.
I
much
live.
less-
Today, actually, so it happened today. So the thing that I just told you with the guy crossing over. So I'm talking on the phone with my dad, right? So that happens. I curse in my language, and he's like, "Well, that's very nice. That's very nice of you to hear." Blah blah. Let's say that. Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay.
That's
Well,
fair.
5 minutes later, he's driving also. 5 minutes later, similar thing happens to him. He curses, and I'm like, well, where do you think I got it from? Like,
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Exactly.
And I can't wait for
That's
your
right.
sons to drive and then start
That's
cursing at
right.
other people on the road.
Like
by
father,
the
like
time
son.
they drive, will probably have autonomous cars, and who knows what happened
Yeah,
with. But,
he'll still
which
curse.
I'm
He'll
not
curse
a
at the
huge-
robots then.
I'm not. I don't think I'll ever trust a bunch of sensors
No,
and
I don't-
things that
Yeah,
drive me
well, you-
around.
Well, you got to be George and I are fine. You got to be careful because someone can go, "Hey, Nick Vucevic just honked at me." Nick Vucevic just.
I have pretty dark tints, so they're probably.
Oh, there you go. So you'll be
Except
fine.
for the big plate on the front that says "Voo" with like 12.
Right.
So,
Which, by the way, thank you. That's the last thing I'll say. My daughter saw you. You looked up and saw my daughter at a game. She was wearing the Nick Vucevic jersey, and you waved to her, and that made her life. That was awesome. So thank you for that. So that's good. That's one of the cool things about having fans back in the building too, which is great.
Sure.
All right, Vooch, appreciate it, man.
I'm telling you,
thanks for the-
Vucevic's traffic report. It
Vucevic's traffic
can be a
report.
thing.
I
Get it
like it.
sponsored. I'll get you $50 a week.
Maybe I'll have a billboard in Orlando at 5'4", or
Yes.
something, with my picture. That might not be bad.
We got
No,
to
I
get
like
sales
it.
on that right now.
All right, we're working on it. Appreciate it. We'll get your E-Pass
problem.
covered for you. We'll get your E-Pass covered for you. That'll be
right.
fun.
That's right.
All right, appreciate it, Vooch. Take
No
care. Good luck the
problem.
rest of the way. All right, man.
Appreciate
Take
it,
care.
guys. Bye bye.
Nick Vucevic. Again, this podcast presented to you by Kia, official vehicle of the Orlando Magic.